President Biden finally addressing America 3 days after dropping out of the race for the White House.
My record as president, my leadership in the world, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
Really? Was it his decision? Joining us now on the phone, the 45th President of the United States, who wants to be the 47th, the GOP presidential nominee, President Trump. Mr. President, welcome back. We used to do this before you were running for office. Now we're back doing it with the stakes much higher than who's going to win The Apprentice. But let's talk about that speech last night. Do you think we learned why Joe Biden decided not to run against you?
Well, I think it was a coup. They didn't want him running. He was way down in the polls, and they thought he was going to lose. They went to him and they said, you can't win the race, which I think is true, unless I did something very foolish, which I wasn't going to do. And I think he was so far down, and they said, you're not going to win, and you're not in great shape, and you did poorly in the debate. I think the debate started everything. That really started the fall if he didn't have the debate. And remember, they challenged me. I didn't challenge them. They said, let's have a debate. They gave me everything I didn't want, from Jake Tapper to everybody else in CNN, and I said I'll take it, because I was surprised that he was willing to debate. So we debated. It didn't turn out well, but it really began from the debate, and the ratings, his approval numbers went very bad, and I was beating him by a lot, and all of a sudden you could see what was happening. They were trying to do a coup, and I have it from very good information. I know a lot of people on the other side, too, that they went and they forced him out, between Pelosi and Obama and some others that you see on television. It was interesting. I'd watch them on television, and they act so nice. Oh, yes, we love Joe. We love Joe. Behind the scenes, I know for a fact they were brutal.
So, Mr. President, should he have taken yesterday, during that Oval Office address, to resign? Because there's clearly something up right now. The reports are coming out that he's fallen asleep in cabinet meetings, the scripting, everything. You have aides saying that Nancy Pelosi had to take over infrastructure negotiation because he was all over the place. Should he have resigned yesterday in that speech?
He's been this way for a long time. He hid in his basement during COVID. They pulled a fast one. He was in his basement. When I was campaigning, I said, where is this guy? He's never out. And he's been this way for a long time. I think he's worse now. I watched the speech last night, and look, the amazing thing is, you look at the other networks, they say, oh, wasn't that a wonderful speech? Wasn't he wonderful? It was terrible. It was like a terrible speech, and terrible delivery. He looked like he was having problems. And yet you watch the other networks, and you would think he was Ronald Reagan in his prime, Winston Churchill in his prime. And he wasn't. It was not good. It was not a good speech. The look, the sound, the voice, everything. And, it's so phony what's going on. I mean, the press is it's so fake. Anybody can see it was a problem. He's a problemed man. Should he stay? I guess that's up to him, and it's up to the people. And I don't think they should use the 25th Amendment. You have not long to go. We have 4 months now, and then he's got another month and a half. But I will say this, the world is in a very dangerous place. I think if he goes, she then takes over, and she's worse than he is. I really believe she's a San Francisco radical. She's actually, I think, a much worse candidate than he is. And she's not doing very well in the polls, considering she's got a little birthday present.
Well, she's so progressive, and you can just look at her voting record. Nonpartisan Government Track says she's the most liberal U.S. senator. She's more liberal than Bernie Sanders when you look at her record. And last night, I don't know if you watched Sean's show, but in his A block, his monologue, he went through all of her radical proposals. And then he would say, listen to it in her own words. And then he'd play a soundbite of what she wanted to do, and her saying that she wanted to do this. She's against fracking. She likes the open border. She's not going to criminalize people who walk across the border, on and on and on. It just laid out how drastic her policies are. Can America survive a Kamala Harris presidency?
No. And she also wants to defund the police, and she really wants to do it more than any other person. She's the most radical person probably that we've had in office, let alone the office of the presidency. She was a horrible campaigner when she ran. You know, she ran against Biden. And I thought he was terrible, but she was terrible. She was horrible. And she was the meanest person up there. You know, she was meaner to him than anybody else. She accused him of being a racist with the buses, if you remember. She was the meanest person, but not a very good debater, but nasty, just nasty to him. And then when he chose her, I said, how do you do that? A person treats you so badly. He was treated so badly during the debates. And he wasn't all there even during those debates. I mean, that was a long time ago. He still wasn't there. You know, if you know him, he wasn't there 25 years ago. He was not exactly the brightest bulb in the ceiling. And this is what we got. And look at our country now with 20 million, because the number, I saw you talking before to Rachel's mom, and it was very sad. I know them, and it's what happened to Rachel was so horrible. And what happened to so many families and so many people in families with all of the criminals pouring into our country. And remember this, every single country all over the world, unless they're stupid, is releasing their prisoners and their gang members and their bad people into our country. Venezuela, which has a tremendous problem with crime in Caracas and other places, Venezuela is releasing thousands of people, criminals, gang members, drug dealers, the worst. They're releasing them into the United States. Venezuelan crime is down 72%. Their prison population is becoming much smaller. I'm surprised they haven't just moved all of them. They will. They'll soon have no prisoners. All of the prisoners are being moved into the United States, and that's true with many other countries. It's true with countries all over. The Congo in Africa is releasing their prisoners into the United States.
So, Mr. President,
and we are so stupid that we take them, and nothing good is going to happen. And we have terrorists coming in at a level that we've never seen, mostly from the Middle East. Terrorists are coming into our country at a level that we've never seen before. And this is so bad for our country. There is nothing good about it. This is so bad for our country.
And there we were looking at some of the video from the new caravan that is heading our way. Mr. President, you know, it was just about a week ago that you selected J.D. Vance to be your running mate. Now we know that Kamala, at that point you didn't know that Kamala Harris was going to be your main opponent, but now she is. And I'm sure you've seen there have been a couple of stories out that say they wonder whether or not you feel you made the right pick, given the fact you didn't realize you were going to be running against a woman who might now try to pick a running mate to deliver a key state or a demographic or anything like that. You're still 100% behind J.D. Vance, right?
He's fantastic. Yeah, no, it wouldn't have mattered. And I thought she was probably going to happen anyway, because I knew there was a palace coup going on, and I assumed that she'd be probably getting it. She had the advantage. So, no, it wouldn't matter. No, he's doing a fantastic job. He goes around. He's essentially for the worker. He's seen the worker be horribly abused and taken advantage of, and he's for the worker. That's what his book is about. Right. That's where his feelings are.
Gotcha.
No, he's for the worker. No, he's great. He's doing a great job, and he's been very well received.
Well, Kamala Harris has given 2 speeches now that she's the candidate, and she's going, they're almost identical speeches. This is what she's doing. She's going after you this way. Watch.
Before I was elected vice president, before I was elected United States Senator, I was elected Attorney General of the state of California, and I was a courtroom prosecutor before then. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I promise you, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week.
There's the attack. What's the retort?
Well, I think it's disgusting, and I get a kick out of one thing. They say, sir, be nice. You just got hit with a bullet. Maybe he's changed. Be nice. And I'd love to be nice, but I'm dealing against real garbage. When you hear that, they've weaponized the justice system against me. They've indicted me 4 times. They've pushed other lawsuits onto me. It's never happened in this country. This is like a third world country, what they've done, a banana republic. Every single court case that I have is pushed on by them. They've taken the Justice Department, used local DAs, and used local attorney generals. Every single case I have, and I just won the big one in Florida that Biden didn't win. What happened to Biden is they called him incompetent. He can run for president, but he's incompetent to represent himself in court. But just so you know, they push all these cases on me. They're the ones that started. And then they say, I'm a prosecutor. He's a criminal. They're the ones. Every case is started by them. And I'm winning the cases, but every case, and the big one I just won in Florida was just thrown out by a brilliant judge, to be honest with you.
Eileen Cannon.
And it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful that they can do this. It's called weaponization, and it does happen in other countries.
Mr. President,
but does it get under your skin?
It's never happened in this country before.
Does that get under your skin when those comments are made? Because that's what they're meant to do.
It's not a question of getting under your skin. You fight back. I fought back, I think, very valiantly. But they weaponized the United States Justice Department against Donald Trump for purposes of hurting their political opponent. And so far, and I think long term, it's had a positive effect. My poll numbers are high. They're higher than they've ever been. People don't like what they're doing. They weaponize it to go after a political opponent. Now, and she was very much in charge, and she was a prosecutor, but she was a failed prosecutor. She put a lot of people in jail that should have never been there. She put people in jail that were political enemies. She's bad news. She's a radical left, not very smart person.
Mr. President,
she failed her bar exam. She couldn't even pass her bar exam. It was brutal on her. She couldn't pass it. She thought she'd never be able to pass it. This is what we have as our next president?
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.